My name is Christy, and I wanted to introduce you to a new virtual program we have here at 100 Miles called Animals, Authors, and Art. Each Monday, we will be reading a nature-inspired children's book, learning more about a coastal animal, and then creating an art project inspired by the book we read. Without further ado, let's begin this week's book.
And the Tide Comes In, Exploring a Georgia Salt Marsh by Merle Alber, illustrated by Joyce Meran Turley. My cousin Ginger is coming to visit and I just can't wait. We don't get to see each other much because she lives in Denver, Colorado, and I live all the way on the East Coast in Georgia. But we've been calling each other ever since I visited her last winter. While I was there, we went snowshoeing in the mountains, and she told me a lot about the different animals that live there. So I've been studying up on the salt marsh so I can show her around here. On the way home from the airport, our parents are talking up a storm, but Ginger's pretty quiet. When we pull into my driveway, she turns to me and says, "I thought you lived on the coast." "I do," I say. "But where's the sand? Where are the waves?" "Oh, you mean the beach. We can go to the beach, but the marsh is much closer. You see, beaches are on the outside edge of the land, but the salt water from the ocean reaches miles and miles inland as it comes up the river. The ocean brings water to us every day and then takes it away." "And the marsh?" she asks. "The marsh? The marsh is in between. Let's get you settled in and I'll show you." Mom says we can go to the marsh for just a little while before dinner. I give Ginger some of my marsh clothes and a pair of my old sneakers. She asks me why she has to wear such messy looking things, and all I can say is, "You'll see." We take the trail that leads through the woods behind my house, and after a while the marsh comes into view. It's summer, so the marsh grass is pretty tall. It always reminds me of an overgrown lawn of yellowy green hay. We also get a good view of the creek as it winds its way through the marsh and out to the main part of the river, connected like a branch of a tree. When we reach the edge of the woods, I pause, but Ginger walks right out into the grass. "Wait!" I say. Too late. Ginger has already started to slide, and before I know it, she slips down into the mud, right at the edge of the creek. "That's why I wear old clothes," I say. "Marshes are muddy." "Now you tell me," Ginger laughs. She's having a little trouble getting up, so I get a piece of driftwood and use it to help pull her up. When she's upright again, she plants the driftwood into the grass and says, "This will mark the spot where I first found out about marsh mud." I want to tell Ginger about the marsh plants and how they get watered with salt water, but she's more interested in the animals. I point out a clump of mussels near the base of the marsh grass. "These are ribbed mussels. They're hard to pull up because they attach to things with tiny little hairs," I say, tugging at a mussel to show her. There are so many things to see that Ginger can't stay still. "What's this?" she asks, picking a small white snail from the stem of a plant. "That's a periwinkle," I say. "Hold your hand still for a minute." At first nothing happens, but then the snail comes slowly out of its shell and starts to crawl around. As we quietly watch it exploring her hand, I hear a familiar clicking sound. "Do you hear that noise?" I ask. Ginger nods as I point to all the fiddler crabs skittering around on the edge of the creek. I scoop one up and hold it out to show her. I'm pretty good at catching them. My dad showed me how to hold them so they can't pinch. "See all these holes everywhere? Those are fiddler crab burrows." Ginger is interested in the crab but doesn't want to hold it. "I'll stick with snails," she says. There are so many things I want to show her, but it's getting late and we need to head back. "Plus, it's going to take a while to get me cleaned up," jokes Ginger, pointing to the mud all over her pants. I hope you enjoyed listening and following along to an excerpt from this week's book, And the Tide Comes In, Exploring a Georgia Salt Marsh. In the book, we were introduced to one of my favorite coastal animals, the fiddler crab. I wanted to share some fun facts about this amazing animal. If you've ever been to a salt marsh, you might have seen these tiny crabs in and around the marsh. They create small holes in the sand and mud that they use as burrows. You might have also noticed that some of the crabs have one very big claw and one very small claw. These are the male crabs. The big claw is mainly used to attract a female crab, and the little claw is used to eat. The female crabs just have 2 small claws. The crab's smaller claw picks up chunks of sand and mud from the ground and brings it to the mouth. While at the mouth, the crab sifts through the sediments for anything that's yummy. Crabs love to eat things like algae, microbes, and fungi. The leftovers are then discarded in little balls outside the crab's burrow.
Our art project this week is creating origami fiddler crabs just like these. Visit our website 100miles.org/animals, authors, and art for instructions on how to create these origami crabs and for other fun crab art projects you can do at home. I hope you enjoyed this week's program, Animals, Authors, and Art. We'll be posting new videos every Monday. Also, don't forget to check out our other virtual programs, Nature in Your Neighborhood on Wednesdays and Family Nature Fridays. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon.